This is the Mazda MX-5 and it is the gold standard for a traditional analog rear-wheel drive sports car. But this generation has been around for over 10 years and in recent times pricing has crept up. So should you still buy one? Well, I'm going to point out everything you must know, talk about what is good and also point out some shortcomings, because not every car is perfect. So before we get started, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and let's get into it. Pricing starts from $42,000 for the classic soft top, and if you step up to this RF, the retractable hardtop version, these are priced from $53,000, and that does sound like a lot of money for a car that is not practical. But if you compare this to a Nissan Z, BRZ, GR86, or even a Porsche Boxter, the MX-5 is still one of the more attainable options, and you can get a 6-speed manual with a limited slip differential. But if you can't drive properly, you can also pick out a 6-speed automatic transmission, and I've also put up the entire model range on your screen. Next, the options. You have 6 external colours to pick from for this RF GT, and if you are serious about track driving, you can add on some lightweight wheels. And the brand offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and the servicing every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. So let's now talk about styling. Comparing this to previous generations of MX-5, this 4th gen is one of the more aggressive looking versions, and despite it being on sale for over 10 years, it still looks pretty good in my opinion. And I do prefer the RF, the design theme, comparing it to the soft top version, but styling is subjective, so write down your feedback in the comments below. And if we look down here, an open air vent section, the front is also low down, which is something to be mindful of when you are going up and down driveways. Gloss black sections along the side, and the GT gets adaptive LED headlights. And looking down the side, again being the GT, 17-inch machined alloy wheels with a nice 2-colour combo design, body coloured mirror caps which also fold electronically. And I should also point out, compared to the soft top version, the roof operation isn't as simple, but it does open and close quite quickly. And coming to the rear design, very quirky looking LED tail lights, MX-5 badging on the boot, and down the bottom, a mini black plastic diffuser. Let's now talk about the interior. This is an analog sports car, like I've said before, so short throw, manual gearbox, manual handbrake, and a fantastic driving position, and it feels quite snug, but maybe a little bit too snug because there is no leg room for taller people. So it's definitely not the most spacious car in the category, but it does feel pretty solid. Up here is body coloured, and you also have soft padding here over where you rest your elbow. The bottom section is also squidgy on top of the dash over here and over in the centre as well. And even on the centre console, the steering wheel feels very good to grip onto and offers manual tilt and reach adjustment. And the seats are also pretty supportive. They do have manual adjustment as well, and lower grades get cloth trim, whereas this version, the GT, they are finished off in accented leather. The seats can also be heated, and you also have climate control in the center with physical dials. And this screen is 8.8 inches in size, and it is part touchscreen for the wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. However, other functions, you'll just have to use the wheel down here. There are also controls on the wheel as well. But overall, the system is easy to operate, and you do get voice control, which works with Siri, inbuilt navigation with 3D mapping, and that does look pretty decent in terms of definition. And then if I go into entertainment, AM, FM, DAB, Bluetooth, USB audio and video, and the base model MX-5 gets 6 speakers, whereas if you step up to this GT version, a 9-speaker Bose sound system, which does sound pretty impressive. And if I flick it into reverse, you get a reversing camera with rear sensors, parking guidelines, a rear cross traffic alert, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot assist, a lane departure warning, standard cruise control, speed sign recognition, and over here, a basic clear gauge cluster with a speedo on the right, rev counter in the middle, and a customizable menu over on the left hand side. But it would have been nice if this car had a digital speedo, which brings me on to this car's downsides. There is no glove box down here, nor do you get any door bin storage, but there is a section down here for a phone, but when you are changing gears, that can get in the way. You do have USB-C charging, a memory card slot. Over in the center, a little storage section and some more storage here as well. You've also got detachable cup holders, but when you do put them into place, again, changing gear, they can get in the way. And you've also got mirrors behind the sun visors, plus a remote key, and the key fob is the only way getting into the boot, which also comes across annoying. And in terms of boot space, the Roadster gets 130 litres of cargo capacity and 127 litres for this RF version, which means fitting large items of luggage is not ideal, and apart from a light, there are no additional features. And I should also point out that the car is low, climbing in and out, but you do get a remote key, keyless entry, and push button start. Before we go for a drive, let's cover off the powertrain. This here is a 2-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrol engine, and it develops 135 kilowatts of power, 205 newton meters of torque, and the key fundamentals for a 2+2 sports car are there. Engine at the front, sending power to the back wheels, and if you go for this 6-speed manual, you get a limited slip differential. Let's now go for a drive. So this is my very first time driving this generation of MX-5, and in front of me, good forward visibility. You are looking over a long bonnet, and you just got to keep in mind that the front section is a bit low, but it's not the worst sports car that I've experienced going over driveways. Good side vision, tiny wing mirrors, and a narrow back window, but you do get a reversing camera. And the car is quite small, so parking it in the city, it is an easy car to park, live with every day, and even getting used to the controls. Very good steering feedback, a nice short throw 6-speed manual, and even the clutch. It's not soft, but it's not overly firm where it's a pain to drive in day-to-day traffic. Even the brake pedal feedback, it's soft when you tap it, but when you apply the brakes all the way, they are responsive for a spirited drive. And even the throttle feedback. The suspension doesn't feel overly firm, but the car does feel balanced. So when you flick it through a corner, there's not much body roll, and you've got very good feedback behind the wheel. The steering is nice and light, but responsive at the same time. And even the wind noise, well, this being the hardtop, it is a little bit more refined in comparison to the soft top version. And when you open the car up, it is a lot of fun. And it's a pretty good engine noise too. Now, despite this having the 2-litre engine opposed to the 1.5-litre engine, it's still not quick when it comes to 0 to 100 times, but the MX-5 was never intended to be a quick car. The whole point of an MX-5 was to go around corners quickly, with control, and to enjoy an analog experience. And that's what I miss about older Japanese cars, and you don't really see these around. There are 2 factors to that. Either people just don't enjoy the analog driving experience, maybe people have moved on to performance SUVs or cars that go quickly from 0 to 100, or maybe the MX-5 has gotten too expensive, because I thought this was a $40,000 car, but when I looked up the pricing on the road, it'll set you back around $60,000, and for a toy that isn't practical, that is a lot of money. And in terms of safety, this does have cruise control, but adaptive cruise control is only available in other markets. But you do have fundamentals like automatic braking, the reversing camera, blind spot monitoring, so there's enough safety tech to keep you on the road and keep you safe, but it's not annoying like a modern day car where you have beeps and bongs, you've got touch buttons in a lot of modern cars, whereas this, it's got enough technology without being overly complicated. And in terms of fuel consumption, Mazda says that this RF GT 6-speed manual will achieve 6.9 litres per 100. Now, just keep in mind, this does have a 45 litre fuel tank, so on the freeway you will see that fuel gauge drop dramatically, but around town it barely moves, and there is a good reason for that, because on average, with a mixture of freeway driving, country driving, town driving and city driving, it is currently showing me 7.1 litres per 100, and that is fantastic in my opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments below. And I should also point out that the automatic version gets 7.2 litres per 100, well, according to Mazda. And so, what is my conclusion on the Mazda MX-5? Well, this is a niche product, an open-top rear-wheel drive sports car, and although pricing has crept up, it is still one of the more attainable options. But for the same amount of money, you could go for a Golf GTI, a Hyundai i30N with more practicality. But tell me your feedback. What do you think of the MX-5? Would you buy one? Do you own one? How's it been? And if you want me to feature any type of vehicle on the channel, let me know in the comments down below, and also share your feedback of the video. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.